Hello guys, so in the previous videos we discussed about magnetic effect of electric current and we find magnetic field by using Biot-Savart's law and Ampere's circuitry law. So in today's video we are going to find what is the effect of magnetic field on a charge. So watch the complete video, share it with your friends and subscribe the channel. So in electrostatic we observe that the electric field exerts a force on a charge whether it is in rest or in motion. But in case of magnetic field, a charge can be experienced the force due to the field only when it is in motion. It will not experience any force when the charge at rest. So if we consider a case in which a charged particle moving with velocity v making an angle theta with the uniform magnetic field B, in that case the force experienced by the charged particle is depend on the magnitude of charge. It is also depend on the amount of magnetic field in that region and it directly proportional to the velocity component of the charge which is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Then in our case there are two components of velocity, v sine theta and v cos theta. So only the component v sine theta of the velocity is perpendicular to magnetic field. So we can say the force directly proportional to v sine theta. So from this observation we can say the force on a charge due to magnetic field is equal to q into v sine theta into magnetic field. Then we can simply write it q v b sine theta. So this is the magnitude of force acting on a moving charge by magnetic field. And if we want to write it is in vector form, then we know velocity and magnetic field both are vector quantity and a b sine theta in vector can be written as q v cross b. So force in vector form can be expressed as q v cross b. And if we focus on the direction of force, then we observe that the force on a charge due to magnetic field is in the perpendicular direction of velocity and magnetic field, because from the vector property we know that the cross product of two vector is always perpendicular to both. So force is in the direction of v cross b. Force is always perpendicular to the direction of velocity and it is also always perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field. Then we also have certain observation from this formula that if v is equal to 0, then the force due to magnetic field on any charge is also 0. So if the charge is in the state of rest, then it will not experience any force due to magnetic field. Second, if theta is equal to 0 or 180 degree, then again force is equal to 0 because sine 0 and sine 180 is also 0. So if a charge moving along the direction of magnetic field or in the opposite direction of magnetic field, it will not experience any force by the magnetic field. Then if theta is equal to 90 degree, then sine 90 is equal to 1, then the force is equal to qvb, which is the maximum force exerted by magnetic field on a charge. So when a charge moving perpendicular to magnetic field, it will experience a maximum force due to it. So in different cases, the force experienced by charge due to magnetic field is also depend on the angle made by its velocity with the magnetic field. To find the direction of magnetic field, we can use Fleming left hand rule, in which we can arrange our left hand in such a manner that our thumb, first finger and middle finger are mutually perpendicular to each other. then the thumb represent direction of force, the first finger represent direction of magnetic field, and the middle finger represent the direction of velocity. So by moving that palm, we can find the direction of magnetic field in any case. For example, if a charged particle moving towards right hand side and having magnetic field perpendicular to it which is in upward direction, then by using Fleming left hand rule, magnetic field and velocity, we can find the thumb is pointing outward, so the force on the charged particle is in outward direction. So by using Fleming left hand rule, we can find the direction of force on the charge with respect to the velocity and magnetic field acting on a charge. Now let's find what is the work done by magnetic field on a charge. So we know that the work done on any object due to a force is equal to F dot S, where F is the force and S is the displacement of the object. Then we know that the magnetic force on the charge is Q V cross B. By putting the value of force in the work done, we get Q V cross B dot S. So in the given expression, V cross B is in the perpendicular direction of velocity and magnetic field, and the displacement of the object is in the direction of motion. So the displacement is always perpendicular to V cross B, and if two vectors which are perpendicular to each other, then their dot product is always 0 from the vector property. So if A perpendicular to B, then A dot B is 0. From that we can say work done due to a magnetic force on a charge is always 0. It shows that there is no linear change in the velocity of the charge and the kinetic energy, but magnetic force can change the direction of charged particle because it acts perpendicular to its motion. Now let's discuss the motion of a charge in a uniform magnetic field, for which we took the first case in which if a charge moving along a magnetic field. So there is a uniform magnetic field B and a charge Q which is moving with a velocity V in the line of magnetic field. Then the force on the charge is QVB sin theta, and as we observed, the angle between velocity and magnetic field is 0 degree. So sin 0 is equal to 0. So the total force on the charge due to magnetic field is 0. So the charge which is moving in the right direction will move undeflectedly in the same direction. So there is no change in the magnitude as well as in the direction of velocity when a charge moves along the magnetic field. So in the second case, let's discuss the motion of a charge when it is moving perpendicular to magnetic field. To illustrate that, we have a uniform magnetic field pointed inward direction and a charge Q moving towards the right direction. Then according to Fleming left hand rule, we have magnetic field in inward direction, velocity towards right, then it indicates the force on the charge is in upward direction. So as the charge move in upward direction, the direction of force will change according to the direction of velocity. So when it is moving in upward direction, the direction of force will continuously change and the charge depict a circle inside the magnetic field. So in uniform magnetic field, when a charge moves perpendicular to it, it moves in a circular path with the same speed. So if you want to find the radius of the circular path, then we can use the concept of centripetal force, which is essential to make a circular motion, and that centripetal force is obtained by the charge due to the magnetic force. Then, as we know, angle between force and magnetic field is 90, so the magnetic force is QVB. So this force provide the necessary centripetal force, then we get mv square by r is equal to QVB, and r is equal to mv by qb, because one power of velocity is cancelled out. So the radius of circular path depicted by the charge in uniform magnetic field is depend on its mass, on its speed, on the magnitude of charge, and on the magnitude of magnetic field. And if we want to find the time period of the charge to depict the circle, then we know the time period is equal to circumference upon speed. So the circumference is 2 pi r with the speed of v. When we put the value of r in that expression, we get 2 pi mv by qb divided by v. So v is cancelled out. So the time period is 2 pi m by qb. So this is the time taken by the charge to complete one circle in a uniform magnetic field. We show it will not depend on the speed of charge, it will depend only on the mass, magnitude of charge, and magnitude of magnetic field. Similarly, if we want to find the frequency, which is the reciprocal of time period, then the frequency of charge in uniform magnetic field is qb by 2 pi m. So by using these expressions, we can find the radius of circular path, the time period of the charge, and the frequency of charge particle in uniform magnetic field to complete circular motion. Now let's discuss the motion of charge particle when it making an arbitrary angle with magnetic field other than 0 or 90. So we have a charge moving with velocity v making an angle theta with the uniform magnetic field B. Then we have the two component of magnetic field, that is along the magnetic field, which is v cos theta, and perpendicular to magnetic field, which is v sin theta. Then due to the component v cos theta, there is no magnetic force due to this component, so it will not affect the motion of charge. But the component v sin theta, which is perpendicular component, it will produce a force of qvb sin theta. Then there is a change in path of the charge due to this component only. So the charge move in a helical path in uniform magnetic field. V sin theta provide magnetic force to rotate that charge, and the remaining component v cos theta try to move that charge in right direction. So again, the radius of the helical path is mv perpendicular by qb. Now only the perpendicular velocity is used to find the radius, so the radius of helical path is mv sin theta by qb. Similarly, if you want to find the time period, which is circumference upon the effective velocity, then the time period is equal to 2 pi m v perpendicular by qb divided by v perpendicular. So the time period is 2 pi m by qb. So if you observe that in this case is same as the time period when the charge moving perpendicular to magnetic field. So only the radius of circular path is different from the radius of helical path, but the time period in both the cases is same, and same as the velocity, which is again qb by 2 pi m. So in the three different motion of charge, we can observe the change in path of the charge particle due to magnetic field. So in electrostatic, we learned that the electric field exerts a force on a charge, and in previous topic we also discussed magnetic field also applied a force on a moving charge. And if a charge moving in a region where both electric as well as magnetic field is present, then the total force experienced by the charge is known as Lorentz force. So Lorentz force is basically the total force experienced by the charge due to electric field and magnetic field. So by putting the value of both the force, we can find the Lorentz force. So the electric force on the charge is QE, which is in the direction of electric field, and the magnetic force on the moving charge is QV cross B, which is in the perpendicular direction of magnetic field. So the Lorentz force is QE plus QV cross B. Then we can write QE plus V cross B is the net force experienced by a charge in electric as well as magnetic field. Then we also have to remember that the electric force which act in the direction of motion, so it can accelerate or deaccelerate the charge which change its speed or kinetic energy, but the magnetic force can change the direction of velocity. It will not provide any acceleration to change the magnitude of speed. So the one force is accelerate the charge and the other force is rotate the charge. So a charge can experience both the forces in a different manner. Now let's find the motion of a charge in a region where both electric and magnetic field are present and they are mutually perpendicular to each other. So we have a region in which a magnetic field is uniform pointed inward direction, and then we applied some electric field which act positive to negative direction. Then there is a electron moving from left to right direction enter in that region. So on electron there is an electric force acting towards the upward direction because electron is negative charge and attracted by the positive terminal of battery. And if we applied Fleming left hand rule, in that case we observe the magnetic force is pointed downward in that case. So the electron which is deflected by electric field moves in the upward direction like this, and which are deflected by magnetic field moves in that direction, because electric field accelerate and magnetic field rotate the charge. But there are some electrons which remain undeflected only when the electric force is magnitude wise equal to the magnetic force. So QE is equal to EVB, because magnetic field and velocity both are perpendicular, so E is cancelled out and we get V is equal to E by B. So the velocity of the moving charge can be obtained by the ratio of electric field and magnetic field. So this arrangement can be used as a velocity selector in different experiments. By using different value of electric and magnetic field, we can obtain the electron of different velocity. Now let's discuss a very important device which work on the concept in which a charged particle move in electric as well as magnetic field. So the device name as cyclotron. So cyclotron is a device which is used to accelerate the charge to a high velocity by using electric and magnetic field. In this device, heavy charge particle like proton, alpha particle, etc. are accelerated by electric and magnetic field. So it works on the principle that when a charge moves in electric and magnetic field, the electric field accelerates the charge to increase its velocity or kinetic energy, and the magnetic field try to rotate the charge so that it keep entering in the electric field and get acceleration. So if we talk about the construction of cyclotron, it have two hollow metallic half cylindrical discs in between a source of ions or charge which we want to accelerate is present. Then there is a magnetic field acting perpendicular to these discs, and we connected these two metallic discs with a high frequency oscillator which provide electric field to accelerate the charge. This whole arrangement is kept in the vacuum so that there is no ion of air which can strike to the charge and deflect them. So in that case, this is the reason between the D's where the charge can experience the electric field and accelerate, and when it move inside the D's, as we know, inside a conductor electric field is zero, so there is only magnetic field is experienced by the charge. So let's illustrate that. We have a source of proton it between the D's, so when switch is on, let D1 become positive and D2 become negative. Then the proton move towards D2 due to acceleration obtained from the electric field present it between the gaps. But as it enter in D2, as we know, electric field is vanished inside a conductor. So due to magnetic field, it rotate in a circular path and again move towards the gap. In the meantime, the D1 become negative and D2 become positive due to the frequency oscillator, and it again get acceleration by electric field which increase its speed and it enter in the region D1. Then again in D1, due to magnetic field, it rotate in a circular path of bigger radius. So when it again entered in the gap, the terminal nature of D1 and D2 are changed, and due to acceleration it move again in a bigger circle. So this process will continue till the charge get very high acceleration, and at a particular point of time it is deflected by a deflector present in the D, and it hit the target by emerging out from the D2. So in that case, we know that the radius covered by charge in magnetic field is mv by qb, and the time period is 2 pi m by qb. Similarly, the frequency of the charge is qb by 2 pi m. So if we observe, the time period and frequency both are independent to the velocity and the radius of charge. So whatever the velocity and whatever the radius circular path, the frequency of the charge remains same, which is known as resonance frequency. Similarly, the high frequency oscillator have the same frequency as the charge, so that it can switch the terminals when the charge enter in the gap. So this frequency is also known as cyclotron resonance frequency. So by using this concept, we can accelerate heavy charges to very high velocity. And we can also observe, due to the increase in velocity, that kinetic energy of the proton or the charge is also increased. So the maximum kinetic energy can be achieved when the object have maximum velocity, and the maximum velocity of the charge is at the periphery of the cyclotron. So the velocity of the charge is qbr by m from the formula of radius of circular path. So when radius is equal to the periphery of these, then the velocity is qb capital R by m, and the maximum kinetic energy is equal to half m q square b square r square by m square. So m is cancelled out. So the maximum value of kinetic energy is half q square b square r square by m. So this is the maximum kinetic energy gained by the charged particle in a cyclotron. So as we discussed, cyclotron is very essential device to accelerate the heavy charged particle, but it also has certain limitation, like it is not able to accelerate neutrons or neutral particles, because on the uncharged particle there is no force applied by electric field as well as magnetic field. In the second limitation of cyclotron, we can say it is difficult to accelerate the electron because electrons are very light particle and they highly accelerated by the small electric or magnetic field. The next limitation of cyclotron is due to the Einstein theory of relativity, in which we know that the mass of a moving charge can be changed according to its velocity. So due to change in mass, the frequency of the moving charge will change and it will not match the high frequency oscillator frequency, which violate the resonance condition. So to minimize this error, we can use a source of variable magnetic field which change with respect to m. So if m increase, the magnetic field is also increase. That's why the frequency of oscillator remains same as the frequency of charged particle. I hope today's topic clear to you, and if you have any doubt, you can write in comment box or email us. You can also visit our website newerasolution.in for more study related material. Till then, subscribe the channel, share the video and study hard.